I think that presents a pretty good idea. It's I like the way there were different stories
Yes.
woven together.
Yes.
You know, the way their lives crisscrossed, the way you moved from one environment to another environment, one background to another background. I like the way you wove everything together. And so, what were you after when you wrote the Square Pegs?
Well, to start with, let me explain that aspect of weaving the stories together.
Okay.
You see, I wanted a story that would make everyone, every reader, that is, especially those that are in the middle ages and young adults, you know, to find their stories inside the book.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, you will find something that talks about you.
I found mine there.
You see? So, and most of the people that have read the book would say, you told, you know, you wrote my story. You know, I sent it to somebody, and she was like a radio on-air personality, and she was like, the story is familiar. It's like, that's my story. And so many other people too were saying the same thing. So it was deliberate because I had to put down something that people could identify with and say, okay, this is it. So basically that was what I had in mind.
Yeah.
Then also I needed to address certain themes. I needed to highlight certain things. You could see an area where there was an inheritance issue. People, you know, they were going, relatives were going to throw out a widow. Why should you do that? A woman who has children for the late person, but just because he was rich, and now your relatives, you feel that because she's a woman, that she does not deserve anything, and you just throw her and her children out.
Now, you are from Ogun State, southwest of Nigeria, right?
Well,
biologically.
Biologically.
But you've lived most of your life in northern Nigeria.
Yes.
I was a bit surprised that of your three central characters, you didn't set any of the backgrounds in northern Nigeria. Was that deliberate or just an oversight?
It wasn't an oversight. I was toying with an idea of seeing how, because basically I was born in the north, I was born in Zaria. You know, I speak Hausa as a first language. I call Kaduna my state because all my children were born in Kaduna. My first house was built in Kaduna. Everything had been, I'm a Kaduna man, as I call myself. But, you know, I needed to experiment with the South to see, okay, if really, do I really know much about the South? Yes, I schooled in the South. You know, I did some schooling in the South. But I needed to, you know, I like to go beyond myself, you know, go beyond my comfort zone. If I had made everything, if I had done all in the north, it would have been very comfortable for me because it's a natural environment. Yeah. It would have just been me. But I needed to go beyond myself, to say, to toy with places and cultures that were not, you know, the ones I grew up knowing.
You weren't familiar,
you know, so I had to learn. I had to learn the cultures. I had to learn about the ways of the people. I had to learn the places to be able to talk about them.
So it would have been much easier for you to write about the North
Definitely.
as backgrounds because
Definitely.
you're more familiar with that.
Yes.
So for you, it was like it was also like a personal adventure for you.
Yes.
That whole experience of.
When you're writing, you're creating pictures in the minds of the people. But before you create pictures in the mind of the people, before you write down the picture, you have to have that picture in your mind. You have to live it. As you're penning it down, you yourself, you are seeing it. So if you don't see it, you will not be able to describe it. You will not be able to create a world that people will live in, you know, because that's why they call it creativity.
Yeah.
You have to create something out of nothing, which is an attribute that writers share with the Almighty, you know, that, you know, they can create something
true.
out of nothing.
So this is your second published work?
Yes, second published novel.
Novel.
Yeah, and third published work.
Okay, interesting. Now, what's your, in terms, you know, when I meet a lot of writers, a lot of Nigerian writers, and who write fiction, and one of the major challenges of fiction in Nigeria is the readership. Okay. In terms of not having enough readership, a lot of people who are interested in reading fiction, Nigerian fiction. As a writer, as somebody, as the author of Square Pegs, while you were writing Square Pegs, let me put it that way, did you have that worry in your heart?
Yes, I did.
Have that concern?
Yes. At a point, I had to tell the publishers, I said, do people still read books? Because I was concerned. A lot of young stars would rather watch maybe some online film download or music and all that, you know, and foreign. And I was like, then a lot of them are also doing this, that, iPad, you know, you know. Yeah. But I felt there's nothing like books, real physical books. You know, there's nothing like that. Yeah. You know, so I had my worries actually, but one of the ideas, one of the reasons why I went on with this is that we need to bring back the reading culture. We cannot just be mouthing it, saying read, but we have to show people. Now, if I don't take that risk of delving into it, then what am I talking about? I have to put my money where my mouth is. So,
David, unfortunately, we don't have so much time. It's been a pleasure discussing this with you.
Thank you so much.
The Square Pegs. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Nice to have you on Channel Bookclub.
Thank you so much.
When we return, I'll introduce a girl writer who is hoping to change her world with her pen, or should I say keyboard.